What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kenna. If you're new here, I make videos about books and life and just everything in between. If you like what you see, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, then hit the like button down below. And let's get into the video.
Good humor, they say I'm out of my mind, standing on the outside, but it's cooler, it's fresher, I like it here.
Today I'm going to be doing my review for an entire series that is Penryn and the End of Days by Susan E. The way I'm going to be structuring this review is a little bit different from a lot of people here on BookTube. I'm going to be giving you the ratings of all three books, a little bit of a spoiler-free synopsis and my thoughts, and then I'm going to be doing a full spoilery discussion on each book and give you like my favorite quotes from the book and just everything in between. So let's just jump right in, I guess. Like I said, it is by Susan E. My rating for Angel Fall was 4.5 out of 5 stars. My rating for the second book in the series, World After, was 5 out of 5 stars. And then the third book in the series, End of Days, was 3.5 out of 5 stars, which averages about 4.3 out of 5 stars for the entire series. So my spoiler-free thoughts on the series was, I thought it was a really good, underrated series. I don't see a whole lot of people here talking about it on BookTube. If you don't know, it's about a girl who is in the apocalypse, essentially. The angels have taken over, but these angels are killing people. And the angel that she comes across without his wings is Raphael. Or Rafi. He's big upstairs, really. And she helps him get his wings back while he helps make sure she doesn't die. But in the process, obviously romance ensues, hence why it's a YA novel. And it's a really good series. I liked it a lot. It's one of those Romeo and Juliet type books that didn't feel forced. I did feel like it drug on a little bit too long because they had this chemistry from the beginning, but they didn't really do anything about it. It was more of a longing glances, kiss every once in a while that didn't have anything until, obviously I can't tell you when, but it didn't feel like enough. I feel like the series itself was really well written. She's really good with her writing. It wasn't too flowery, it wasn't too describey. It was a good amount of words without being too much. And I like that when it comes to books. I don't like my writing to be over the top, like Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. There are some authors that have really flowery writing and they use too much description that isn't necessary for the book to make sense. You could describe something in 3 pages, or you can describe something in a few sentences and still be a good novel. There were quite a few lines in the series that actually did make me laugh, and I will get to them in the next little bit. But her writing was really good and made me laugh, but it also made me cry. It made me feel things. It made me feel connected to the characters, which I love. Speaking of the characters, I did feel like the characters were really well developed, except there were times where it's like she was just this way and then she's not this way. It's the reason why I could never give all of them 5 out of 5 stars the entire time, but not the only reason. Penryn, between the first book and the end of the last book, had changed a lot, as well as Rafi. And yes, I pronounce it Rafi, not Roth. Like I said, my biggest issue with these books is that I felt like over the span of 3 books, which is roughly like this much paper, could be condensed down to maybe this or 1.5. It could have been more of just a really long standalone, and it really didn't have to be all 3 books, because I felt like everything that happened, it either repeated itself or it didn't need to happen, or I felt like the romance, which is a big part of the series, could have been moved along faster, and just that was my biggest problem with the books. The reason I gave it 4.3 out of 5 stars. And I feel like the plot, well, it was good. There were things that could have been taken out. And I feel like the last 20 or 30 pages of the last book is what summed up everything in the last 3. Which I felt like it could have been either longer in that aspect, or it could have been less pages in between the first page and that. Because everything had been happening, and it felt like it was a lot. And when I did read it, I'll admit, it took me, I want to say a couple months to read all 3 books, which I was in a slump. But I felt like the books were putting me in a slump. While I loved them, they also not what wanted to keep me reading. So overall, I give Penryn and the End of Days 4 out of 5 stars, the entire series. The average is 4.3, but I'm just going to round down to 4 out of 5 stars. And if you have already read the series, then stay tuned and I'll give you all my thoughts on each book. But if you've not, I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys. Alright, Angelfall, the first book in the series. Once again, all these books are kind of slow to start. The first 10 or 15 pages didn't hook me. I had to force myself to keep reading, but once I got into it, I thought it was really good. And like I said, I feel like the fact that I was in a reading slump to begin with kind of made me not want to read them. And that was just like my biggest issue with it. And sorry if I keep looking down. I should have said this before. I'm looking at my notes. My also issue with this book was the fact that at the very beginning, I didn't like Penryn. I really didn't like Rafi. They both kind of turned me off of the series, and thankfully I did keep reading. And it's just the characters, I didn't connect to them right away, and that was my problem. And I also did not trust Obadiah, which, if you've seen Iron Man 1, you know the name. You know why I didn't trust him, just from his name alone. But that was just a personal thing of mine. My one thing with Penryn was at the very beginning when they are in the office and they are trying to fight the gangs. Rafi wasn't doing a whole lot, obviously, because he was hurt. But Penryn was so stupid, I felt like. She wasn't just brave, she was bravely stupid, which is, I guess, she could be classified as a Gryffindor in that way. But that was like my biggest issue with her, is that at the very beginning she made a lot of really stupid decisions that were considered brave, but also not very smart at the same time. And then when I finally got to the end, I was really excited for Penryn to be reunited with Paige, for like their family to kind of be back together, for hopefully Rafi to be good, even though his wings weren't stolen. And then he was given demon wings, which is not the best thing ever for the ending of the series. When her mom thought that she was saved by a demon, not the best thing ever. It was a cool ending, but it wasn't good if I were in the series. I'm just leaving it at that. And overall, it was slow to start, but I did give this 4.5 out of 5 stars. And I did have one favorite line from this book, and that's the only thing I had from this. And it's on page 111. It is when Penryn is fighting one of the guys that's on Obadiah's team, I guess. He fought her. She started the fight. He thought he was going to take her down. Unfortunately for him, Penryn was a little more strong than he thought. It's a little known fact that where the pinky goes, along goes the hand, the wrist, and the body. Otherwise, something breaks along the way. I thought it made me laugh. It was such a good quote, and this was a good book in the series. Okay, the second book in the series is World After, which I finished this on the way home, or the way down to Gatlinburg. It was like 11 o'clock at night, so I don't exactly remember everything that happened, thankfully does not lead to me taking off any stars. I really did enjoy this book a lot. The beginning, once again, was kind of slow to start, and I felt like the first half, or the first, 2/3, was also slow, because I really wanted Rafi, and as you guys know, he flew away at the end of the last book, and he went to go try to get his actual wings back. And then when the fact that Penryn's kind of stuck with Obi's clan, I still didn't trust him. I didn't trust him to the very end. Like I said, that's just my own bias of the name. I couldn't help it. And I was finally glad to see that when Rafi did come back, he came back with a punch. Obviously, because we all know and love Rafi. One thing I didn't like with this series is that I didn't like the jail plot. I don't know. It was weird. And I can't describe it. I didn't like it. It was just one of those plots that I felt like could have been taken out, and it wasn't my favorite. This is another one of those books where the ending was kind of weird, but I feel like none of these endings besides the last book was normal. It didn't really make sense, but it kind of did. The cute scene at the end annoyed me because it was cute, and then all of a sudden, no more. So that drove me nuts. The entire series was the almost cute scene, kind of cute, and then poof, he's gone. So I actually have a paper printed off because I used Kindle to read part of this, but I have 4 different lines that I really liked in this book. The first one was on page 252, which is probably not surprising for me. He puts his fingers to my lips and whispers, "Don't talk. It'll spoil my fantasy of rescuing an innocent damsel in distress as soon as you open your mouth." Which was Rafi when he rescued Penryn. which was wonderful. I love that scene. The second one was on 288, which was, and this, it was a good quote, but it kind of drove me nuts. He glares at me. I had to watch you die once. Isn't that enough? Like, Rafi was amazing. The third one was on page 308, and it was, I swivel my eyes, look at the blade of my hands. Was that you, Pookie Bear? It made me laugh. Pookie Bear was the blade that was Rafi's and then became Penryn's. If you, like I said, if you have not read this book, you should not be here. My last favorite book, or last favorite quote in this book was on page 314. My dad once told me that life would get complicated when I grew up. I'm guessing this wasn't what he meant. My mom, on the other hand, agreed with him. And I'm guessing this is the exact kind of thing is what she meant. Because we all know her mom was schizophrenic. And the last book in this series is End of Days, which this book took me forever to get through. I think this is the longest book that I read getting through. I want to say it took me over a month, maybe a month and a half. I don't remember specifics a lot from this book because it's been so long since I read it. And because it's been so long since I started it, because I'm filming this. And you are hopefully watching this the day I upload, January 2nd. One of my favorite things from this book is the fact that Penryn proved not only to me, but also to the angels, which is more important, that she is truly a badass. Like, she's able to kick ass with or without Pookie Bear and have actual angels not only want her dead because of it, but also be kind of scared of her, which was nice from the very beginning, where she felt more stupidly brave than anything. One thing I didn't like from this book is the fact that I want to say about halfway through, her mom and her mom's cult thing turned her over to the angels, and then her mom ended up killing the cult, saying that she had nothing to do with it, which I'm pretty sure she did, because she wanted nothing to do with Penryn, it seemed like, but she wanted everything to do with Paige. And anything to save Paige, she was willing to give Penryn up for Paige, which kind of bugged me. She didn't seem like a good mom, even though she was schizophrenic, and I can't blame her for that, but I also didn't like that toward the end, when we actually got to see, like, when we got to go to the past or go to Belial's memories, where we got to see what happened between Belial and Rafi. I didn't like that they tried to make us feel bad for him right before he died, because I feel like he was such a bad character the entire series that that little bit of information was not going to make me like him. And I didn't like that the author tried to make me like him at that point. Like I said earlier, the last 20-30 pages where everything's wrapped up into a neat little bow. Rafi finally admits that he likes Penryn. The whole angels hunting humans, and then that not really happening because Rafi saves the day. I didn't like how that all ended up, because it could have been longer. It could have been changed so it didn't end up the way it did, in such a more cliche ending. I feel like it was just really rushed, and then for something that was built up over 3 books, for it to end that fast. And just overall, it wasn't my favorite book in the series. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I gave the second book 5 out of 5 stars. So, although I did have quite a few favorite lines in this book. The first one was on page 18. It was, if you're worried about pervs breaking into the house, it's not going to make a difference whether I'm in this outfit or I'm bagging jeans and a sweatshirt. Either they're decent human beings or they're not. Their actions are on them. It will be tough for them to make any action while I'm pummeling their faces. Disrespect will not be tolerated. Between Penryn and then Rafi. I feel like that's kind of how the world works, unfortunately. The next one is on page 26, which is, how can the world end a giant fury of biblical proportions yet still leave room for embarrassment? The next one is on page 29. I turn back toward him. I'm not stupid enough to give you my sword. Obviously, Penryn. The next one was on 37. These are not the screams of an angry man. These are the nightmare screams of someone having a soul torn to pieces right in front of him. I liked how she worded that. Page 46. I'm just saying you should pick a man who knows he's not worthy of you and will dedicate his life to provide for you and protect you. He presses another piece of gauze next to the first one. I wince again. And make sure he's kind to you and treats you with respect in every way. Otherwise, he can expect a visit from me. His voice is hard and merciful. Just Rafi was such a good man. I loved him. Next one is on page 57. I tighten my arms around his neck. We're not that primitive anymore. He arches his perfect eyebrow at me, sending waves of skepticism. We have Viagra now. He gives me a sideways glance as if he suspects what it is. It made me laugh. Page 64. Sometimes I feel like my whole life is lived in this twilight space between sunshine and darkness. It was such, how she worded it was so good, and I've not felt something like that in a while. 65. But I realize now that the tough choices, the ones that will haunt us for the rest of our lives, are the ones my mom is still sheltering me from. 148. This human girl, as puny as she seems, somehow managed to convince an angel sword to allow her to wield it. Uriel pauses for effect. Even more astonishingly, she used the sword to kill one of our own. As if you guys have read the books, you know exactly what's going on. And 148. Also 148. If only they knew the sword that dominated their weapons is called Pookie Bear. And the last one is on page 150. Uriel puts out his hands to the quiet crowd. A trial it is. And suddenly, I'm not so excited about getting a trial. I love that last little bit with Uriel and Penryn. A lot of things happened there, and it made me smile, and it also made me worried for her, and I had a lot of feelings in this series, okay? But that is all for my review. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm hoping to be a little more organized next time and review closer to when I read the books. If you have my Goodreads, which is linked down below, I think I finished this in November or December. I don't remember exactly, but I'll hopefully do better next time. But if you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, like I said, go ahead and hit that little red subscribe button. It's always welcome for you guys to stay here. And comment down below if you read this series and what your thoughts are. So I will see you guys in the next time in my next video. Bye, guys.